Hey, folks, we are back for the J&J Sports Express. I know you guys missed us. I was getting a couple of messages about people saying, "Where are you guys?" Well, some things have come up. I know we haven't been here in a while, but I'm telling you, we're going to be here for the rest of the season on Wednesday nights. We're looking forward to it. We got a lot of games to cover, a lot of things going on in the NFL. And as always, my co-host on this show is JB Ellis. JB, how you been?
It's been a while, but the network called and said we need this show back. It's one of the best NFL shows out there. So here we
Right.
are.
I hear you. I hear you.
They can't make it without this show. And if you're not watching, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, well, some good advice here, and on and good analysis on different games. So, hey, here we are. So let's get to it. Let's talk the first game on Thursday night, which is tomorrow night. Thursday, the Jags are on the road at the Saints. The Jags are getting 1.5. Who are you liking in this game, JB, and why?
This is an interesting game. You have a really good defense in the Jaguars and a great defense in the Saints. And you have a decent offense in the Jaguars and a not so good offense in the Saints. The Saints offense has gotten better with the return of their running back, but I
Alvin
kind of like,
Kamara.
yes, Camaro being back. I still like the Jags here. I don't know, that something about them. I don't think that they're going to make the Super Bowl. I don't think they're that good yet, but I think they're a quality team.
Well,
And I think the Saints are okay. I don't think the Saints are a good team. I think the Jaguars are the better team.
hmm I sort of agree with you, but the problem is, my feeling is what's the situation with Trevor Lawrence? He is right now. He's listed as questionable. I checked the injury report, and that's my main concern. You have a questionable quarterback. If he doesn't play, I definitely like the Saints. Probably going to have to, hear about it tomorrow. Maybe, on my website at jeffcadillac.com, I have right now, I have it saying at the Jags. But if he's out for the game, I'm definitely going Saints. Now, you also have for the Jaguars, Zay Jones is still out, wide receiver. He's got to get going. That's a target. You do have, as you mentioned, the defenses for both teams. The Jags have the number 3 rushing defense in the NFL, and the Saints have the number 9 rushing defense in the NFL. So this game may be a shootout. You got Derek Carr, definitely. He's still healthy, but you never know what you get with him. He had a very bad game at Houston last week. New Orleans, I like New Orleans at Houston, but they had 2 missed field goals. They had a lot of missed opportunities, interceptions, very sloppy game for New Orleans. So, you're looking at a bounce back here for New Orleans. Jags are coming off a nice win. They beat up on Indy with Gardner Minshew, and Minshew was trying to make his return to the Jags, Jacksonville. He didn't have a good game. He had 3 interceptions. He had 1 fumble, really blew the game. He basically single-handedly lost the game for Indy. I'm just worried about Trevor Lawrence here. Jags are playing well, but Trevor Lawrence goes down. Who you got there? Blaine Gabbert, behind. It's not a good situation. So I'm almost like wait and see. And if I see tomorrow that Trevor Lawrence is definitely out, I'm going Saints.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the practice report for the Jaguars and their injury report, they right now don't even have Trevor Lawrence on there.
Yeah, he's
So,
questionable right now.
well,
I
here he
looked at it
is.
right
He
before we went
he
on,
he
and
did practice limited today.
right.
So if he's practicing, he's going to play.
No,
I
that,
have no
that
doubt.
let me tell you something. I don't count your chickens. I've seen that plenty of times. Guys are limited practice, and because it's a short week, you don't want to injure the guy further. So a lot of times, what happens is the guy is held out. They figure give him some rest, let him long term. Because you see, if a coach makes a bad decision here and says let him play, and he gets injured further, those are firing. That's a situation where the coach is going to get fired. Where he could have just let him stay out the game.
That's
Come
not
back.
true. I mean, look at Miami. I
Of
mean, they
course it
with
is.
Tua last year, he didn't get
Of course it
fired.
is. No,
McDaniel didn't get
Tua,
fired. So
Tua was in there because he was cleared to play. He wasn't in there with there wasn't limited practice and everything. He was cleared to play. There's a difference of a situation there, JB. Okay.
I completely disagree with you, but
Yeah,
that's
well,
what's great about this show is we can
yeah.
disagree,
Well,
and
the
99%
facts
of the
are is
time,
that he was cleared to play. Okay.
99% of the time, JB's right. Just remember that, folks.
Yeah. Keep saying it, JB.
Hey, you got to believe it for it to be true.
Yeah. Right. Okay. All right.
So, any
Anyway,
other thoughts on this game?
no, we'll move to the next game. We got Detroit at the Ravens. You got the Lions. Believe it or not, is the dog. Ravens are -3. Who you liking in this game and why, JB?
So, this is a tough game. I mean, the Lions obviously are everyone's darling pick this year. People are talking the Lions may go to the Super Bowl, which is crazy. Um, the Ravens just done what the Ravens do. They consistently have an injury at running back with Dobbins, who can't stay healthy. It goes out for the year. They plug other guys in. Lamar Jackson just continues to lead that offense, and their defense continues to play pretty well. The Lions, on the other hand, this year have just done everything well except for the Seattle game. So, I'm going to be a little different, though. I'm going to go with the Ravens just based on the fact that they're at home. And the Lions aren't going to go 16-1. This is a tough game, and probably one of the tougher games they're going to have of the year going to Baltimore. It's a good crowd. And the Ravens, for them, this is an important game because, it's going to show just how good this team is, or is it? So to me, I think this game is more important for Baltimore. That's why I'm taking them.
Well, I'm taking the Ravens for a different reason. I like the Ravens in this game because, first of all, the running back for Detroit, David Montgomery, their leading running back, he's out for this game. He could be out for multiple games. That right there is bad for Jared Goff. Then you got the backup, Jamar Gibbs. He's coming back, but he's rusty. He didn't play last week at Tampa Bay. So you got basically, and the rest of the guys on the Detroit roster for the running back is weak. There's nothing there. So Jared Goff is going to be having to throw 50 times this game, and that's not a good sign for Mr. Goff because a couple of those passes are definitely going to be intercepted. And the Baltimore defense is going to be teeing off on that. Now you got, believe it or not, the Detroit defense is number 1 against the rush. Baltimore's also number 10 against the rush. But in this game, Baltimore won't have to worry about the rush too much because there's nobody going to be rushing. The Baltimore secondary, though, sometimes can be picked apart, as Kenny Pickett did a couple of weeks ago against Baltimore in Pittsburgh in that nice comeback win. Last week, Baltimore won. They had a nice game in London. They took care of business there. This week, I think Baltimore takes care of business because of the factor that David Montgomery, there's going to be no running game for the.
A quick question for you on that with the running game. You're not sold on Jamar Gibbs if he's healthy. I know he's questionable with a hamstring, but you don't think that he's good enough to.
First game back, these guys are rusty. They get the feel for it. It's always a situation I've seen it 1,000 times. First game back from an injury, the guy is rusty. He's making his cuts for the first time. Jamar Gibbs is not the star running back there. He hasn't gotten as many plays as David Montgomery. So I don't expect him to be, if he was coming off fresh and he was in there, I could say maybe they're going to have a run game. But the fact he's coming back from an injury and it's his first game back, he's going to be rusty. And that's not good for Detroit because they know they're going to have to throw the ball. Baltimore, if they stick to their game plan, they should win this game. I'd say 4 or 5 points. I like the Ravens laying 3 at home. That's who I like in this game.
I mean, I definitely agree with you. Like I said, I think this game is more important for Baltimore. And I agree with your point on the running situation for Detroit. I do think Gibbs will come back and be okay to play. But, coming off an injury and that defense for Baltimore, I don't see him doing much. But I think he's a capable guy of being in there. Losing Montgomery and having Gibbs isn't that big of a deal. But like you said, his first week back.
It's like apples and oranges. You got Montgomery's the star guy, and Gibbs is not even that great. If you look at his stats, he hasn't produced that much, even when he's gotten the chance.
Getting 4.5 per carry, 4.59.
Yeah,
I'll take that every day.
He's run maybe 40 times in the whole season. That's nothing.
Yeah,
And
at
he's coming off
4 points.
an injury, JB.
That's still 4.59 a carry. I'll
Okay.
take that every time. You know,
Okay.
as a backup, that's quite capable. But we both agree on the Ravens in that one. Let's go to the Steelers and Rams.
Yeah,
This is an
Steelers
interesting game.
at the Rams. I'll start off on this one. I actually like Pittsburgh in this game, and I'll tell you why. I like Pittsburgh because the Rams, they lost Kieran Williams. He's out with an ankle injury. He's not playing this week. The backup, Ron Rivers, he's out with a knee injury. So they got nobody back there running. And Stafford, again, is also another quarterback that needs a reliable running back. He throws 50 times a game. Some of those passes are going to be intercepted. He's going to fumble. This is lights out for Steelers. Steelers should win this game at least by a touchdown because right now Stafford is just back there by himself. You got, Williams had a great game last week against Arizona, but getting injured and definitely out this week, and Rivers is out this week, it's going to be very tough. You're going to see a lot of handoffs, a lot of, Cooper Kupp with reverses. They're going to try to, catch the Steelers off guard, but it's not going to happen. But Kenny, also on the other side with Pittsburgh, Kenny Pickett is getting better every game. I like the way this guy is progressing. I like what I see from him. He's starting to read the defenses better. He's making less mistakes. He really surprised me nicely in that game against Baltimore, which was very important because that was a nice comeback win for Pittsburgh. So, Pittsburgh also is coming off the bye. I like them in this. They're nice, well-rested. TJ Watt should have a very good game. Hey, I like Pittsburgh winning by at least a touchdown.
Interesting. I mean, the injury factor is huge for the Rams. Losing Williams, who's done really well this year. Their guy right now looking to run the ball, Zach Evans, 4 carries for 10 yards. That doesn't leave much to put your hat on. I mean, you were saying 40 carries wasn't a lot. He has 4. So big difference there. Stafford having to throw the ball all day. I mean, he does have Cooper Kupp. He does have Pakua Nakua, who is really good. So he has the targets, but you got to have somewhat of a balance and someone you can rely on in the running game. As you said, Pickett has been getting better. Am I sold on him as a quarterback that's going to take a team to a Super Bowl? No. But to play the Rams in this state right now that they're in, yeah, I think he can get that done. And of course, that goes to coaching. Tomlin is by far one of the top 3 coaches in the NFL. He always finds a way to win, no matter what the situation. They have a really good defense. So, I do like the Steelers here. I can't see the Rams putting up much of a fight. But then again, here's where things are interesting. Nobody expected anything out of the Rams this year, and they're 3-3 at the moment. Right now, probably at the beginning of the year, probably say they'd be 1-5 at this point, and they're 3-3. So they've done a great job doing better than expectations, but I think reality hits them this week with Pittsburgh and Pickett.
Yep.
Any final thoughts on that game?
No, I like Pittsburgh. I like them winning by 7 on the road. They're well rested. Like I said, the running back situation. If the running back situation, if Kyron Williams was there and Rivers was there to give him a
different game.
Yeah,
different game.
Totally different game. And I like the Rams winning by at least 7. But of course, the spread would be different as well. So,
of course. And also, I mean, the other thing, it is at SoFi. The problem with teams that go to SoFi, the Steelers have a lot of fans all throughout the country. Going to be a lot of Steeler fans there. It's not going to be a hostile environment. There's the Rams and Chargers don't really have that home field advantage like, a lot of teams in the NFL, like maybe about 27, 28 teams. A lot of times when you have a Steelers, a Cowboys, a Giants, a Bears team going into SoFi, it turns and it flips to being like their home game or a neutral site game. So there's going to be a lot of Steeler fans, in California this week.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, definitely. I see it. Every time Chargers and Rams play, there's a lot of visiting team jerseys in the stands.
Yeah, so, I mean, look Monday night when Dallas was there playing the Chargers.
There's Dallas is the exception because you have tons and tons of Dallas fans all across the country.
And the Steelers would probably be the number 2 team, though, if you think about it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But We'll see. We'll see what happens. Sunday night, the matchup here. This is a premier matchup. You got the Dolphins at the Eagles. Phillies only favored by 2. What do you think, JB? Tell me.
This is a possible Super Bowl matchup. I don't think I'd be upset come February 12th in Las Vegas if these two teams played. Would you?
No, I wouldn't.
This is going to be a very interesting game. You got two of the better quarterbacks right now in there. You got Hurts and Tua, both MVP candidates, in my opinion. Tua is obviously having a much better year. Hurts, 7 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, so his stats are not overwhelming.
Yeah, but wins are wins.
But he's winning games, which is what matters. Their running game is really good, and when they have to throw the ball, they have AJ Brown. To me, I like the Eagles here, and we're going to see just how good the Dolphins are if they can hold up. Because when they went to Buffalo, they got destroyed.
Well,
now they're playing.
Hang on
one second. Now they're playing Philly, which also has a really good defense. So if they get down 14 points, they can't go away from the run game like they did when they were in Buffalo. Because if that happens, Philly's going to feast on them. Go ahead.
Well, you got 2 Alabama quarterbacks here facing each other, and they were both on the team at the same time. So they know each other very well. They know each other's weaknesses, and they know each other's strengths. And I'm sure they're sharing it with their their respective defenses. So the teams are going to be well prepared for this game. This is a beautiful matchup. I look forward to the game on Sunday night. You got Miami's number 1 total offense versus Philly's number 9 total defense. It's going to be a battle. And the big thing in this game is going to be turnovers. Who turns the ball over first? Who and how many times they turn it over? And I think the team at the end of the game will win the game. They'll kick the field goal at the end. It could be a shootout. It could be one of those 44-41 kind of games where the defenses just go, sideways. You've seen that before where you have a number 1 and a number 2 defense play each other, and then all of a sudden the defenses don't even show up, and it's like an offensive showcase. You could see that in this game because Philly can score points at will at times. They've held back in some of their games. Against the Rams in L.A., they could have scored 40 in that game, but they were making plays so not to embarrass almost the Rams. And Philly last week, and also Philly this week, you got to remember, is coming off that big loss against the Jets.
I was just about to say that.
I love the Jets last week +7 because Philly at certain times is ripe for the picking. But because the Eagles are coming off that bounce back, and when you come off a bounce back, you make a lot of corrections. You look at things a little extra. You make sure that the routes are safer. And plus, we'll see. Philly just picked up Julio Jones either today or yesterday. We'll see how healthy he is and if he does even play for this game. Even if he's on there as a decoy, the defense has to pick him up. Defense has to put him in there because he's not washed up completely. He's not washed up, but the thing is that you still have to put a hand on, somebody on him because he can burn you. He has lightning speed if he hasn't lost a step, but we'll see that, maybe this week. But I like the Eagles in this game. I like them winning by a field goal. That's how tight I think this game is going to be.
The loss to the Jets, I think, is a big factor. And then the fact that the one time Miami got down the whole year where they had issues with Buffalo, they went away from what they were doing all year and they got destroyed. So if Mike McDaniel remembers what happened in that Buffalo game and corrects it, because the Eagles may go up 14 points in this game at some point. It may happen early. If you have a bad drive, the Eagles defense is good. And if they happen to score twice, then you have to stick with your game because you have the best offense in the league. You're going to score. Just do what you do.
Well, they're the guys with the funny thing is Miami does have a great offense, but Philly has that tush push. And they've been very successful at it, and nobody's been able to stop them. So if they ever need 1 yard in a situation, it's almost like guaranteed. But I like this game. I like the Eagles winning by 3.
Yep. Before we move on, what's your thoughts on them signing Julio Jones?
I think it's good. I think let's see what he, I I forget which wide receiver went down with an injury, and that's why they brought him in. So they must have liked what they saw. And even if he catches 2 catches on Sunday, and even if he's just out there as a decoy, it's a plus. Because like I said, you have to put somebody on him, because if you don't put anybody on him and Jalen Hurts sees that, it's 6 points. It's a touchdown.
You have to respect him, and it helps free other people up. It's a great move. The Eagles organization has done really well picking and putting the right pieces together. I'm not sold to them being the best team in the NFC. To me, that's the 49ers who we're going to talk about in a second. But, I mean, this could possibly be a Super Bowl preview, because both these teams are going to go far, and we're going to get to see it. But I can tell you this much. We've had a really great game towards the middle of the season where you saw 2 of the teams you'd love to see in the Super Bowl, which would be a phenomenal Super Bowl, and it hasn't happened. We saw Kansas City, LA a couple of years back. It didn't work out that way. And a couple other matchups similar to that over the last couple of years. So let's hope we get one of those games in prime time this year, and we get to see that matchup a second time in Vegas. But for now, I'm just excited that we actually have a good primetime game.
Yep. So now we go to Monday night. Monday night, San Francisco and Minnesota. San Francisco is the road favorite. They're laying 7. How do you like this game, JB?
This is a tough game for a couple of reasons. You have 2 offensive injuries to San Francisco that scare me. I don't think they're going to lose, but do you risk playing McCaffrey and Debo? You're playing really well. You have a good lead in your division. Do you risk 2 key components to your offense, knowing that your defense is really good? But Minnesota has a good offense, so they're gonna put up points. But do you risk putting those guys in? I think the Vikings cover because of the injuries, but I don't know. I just the 49ers, they have so many pieces, and they lost 2 of them at one time. So it just, Purdy didn't play his best last week.
That's one of the things that I was worried about. San Francisco would have blown out Cleveland had McCaffrey and Samuel not gotten injured in that game.
Yeah.
And I liked the 49ers. That was my pick of the week. I said, no Deshaun Watson, no problem. And but when you lose 2 star guys on offense, it makes it very difficult. And that's what happened. San Francisco was up 10-0, and they were looking to move further. And things kind of just collapsed when you got 2 guys that, drop out because of the injuries. But also on the Minnesota side, they're a terrible team. They barely beat the Bears last week, and that was without Justin Jefferson. They got to Justin Fields. He's out. But the problem is the backup for Chicago. He came in. He also got a strip sack. Minnesota took the ball, went the other way. Chicago just kind of fell apart. Minnesota's not really that great, be honest with you. Without Justin Jefferson, and Kirk Cousins is not one of those quarterbacks that's going to get you ever to the Super Bowl. I mean, Minnesota's really looking pretty bad this season. They haven't shown me anything that is really, saying, wow, this team is really good. Their secondary is just terrible. I mean, when they played Kansas City at home, Minnesota was home in that game, Kansas City was toying with them. It was 27-13, and they could have easily scored 40 in that game. They were just running the clock out, doing running plays and everything. Minnesota's not that good. And I even said last season they weren't even that good with that big, record that they had. I didn't like them. I knew, they were ready for the pickings. But
when I saw the playoff matchup last year, I knew the Giants were going to win as soon as I saw the matchup.
Yeah.
Minnesota was a false team.
But before I pick who I'm going to, the spread is 7. I want to see also, to the fans out there, how McCaffrey and Samuel, if they're going to play either, because McCaffrey says he's not missing, multiple games. And we'll see about Samuel, because they do have till Monday. So we'll see how they're feeling. If they are in certain practices, it's a tough game to call at this moment. So I'm going to kind of wait and see what happens in this game, because I really, if McCaffrey and Samuel are playing, it's lights out for the Vikings. I'll tell you, the Vikings are definitely don't have a chance in this game because the defense is going to be all over Kirk Cousins, and especially after the loss. 49ers, again, bounce back situation. They got to get it back on track. They got to stay in front of Philly, and that's how it's looking. That's what I like so far.
I think the 49ers are going to win. The injuries is right now why I would say I would think the Vikings are going to cover. But if everyone plays and everyone's good to go, the 49ers cover. If either one of them sit, look for the Vikings to cover with the 49ers winning. But we got plenty of time before we get to that point. We got a weekend to go, and we got a bunch of games. It's going to be interesting. But that Sunday night game, this game is the game I can't wait to see. Any other thoughts tonight, Mr. Cadillac?
Nah, just happy to be back. Hopefully, we'll be here every week through the end of the season. Good to see you too, JB, and all you football fans and everything. Hey, listen, keep on, writing comments and engaging and everything, and I love it. And glad to be back.
Well, definitely glad we're back. We'll see you guys next week. Should be back to the regular 7:00 time. You never know, though. Sometimes different times are better. Whenever we're there, the great thing is you can watch it all the way up till Sunday. You can watch it afterwards to see who was right. Was it Jeff? Was it JB? Or were we half and half? All I can tell you is make sure you're making the right picks. It's the most important thing. And enjoy the games because Sunday night's going to be the game of the week. About time the NFL gave us something good. Enough Giants-Dallas games, Giants-Buffalo, and all these other bad primetime games. And make sure you go to jeffcadillac.com and see all Jeff's picks. And go to Sideline Sports 1 and see what's going on there because we have some interesting stuff happening. But until next week, we'll see you on the J&J Sports Express.